Next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The Amazon Post, none too pleased with Kamala's rollout of her USSR onomics on Friday. Vice President Kamala Harris' speech Friday was an opportunity to get specific with voters about how a Harris presidency would manage an economy that many feel is not working well for them. How they manage the economy. Is that something that any administration really does? No. Anyway, it's their disposition, the illiterate D.C. press corps. Unfortunately, though, they write, instead of delivering a substantial plan, she squandered the moment on populist gimmicks. Heavens. Americans are clearly still anxious and angry about the high cost of groceries, housing, and even $5.29 Big Macs. The Ed board, such as it is at the WAPO, continued, never mind that many stores are currently slashing prices in response to renewed consumer bargain hunting. Ms. Harris says she'll target companies that make, quote-unquote, excessive profits, whatever that means. Whatever that means! Oh, my. Good gravy. Whatever that means, it means whatever she says it means. It means whatever the central planner says it means. I thought the WAPO was on board with this. You know how I read this editorial? People making a big deal of it. Oh, she's lost the Washington Post. No, she hasn't. You don't lose the D.C. press corps when you're the Democrat Socialist nominee, when you're going to be the figurehead of the Bolshevik Revolution. You're not losing the D.C. press corps because they're in service to said revolution. They're sending a message. Would you please shut up? Would you stop talking and making our job more difficult? Don't talk. Let us try to engender this sort of cultural momentum behind you as a cultural figure that transcends politics. We've done it before. We can do it again. But if you keep talking, you're not good at it. You're running interference for our operation and your success. Although, just given that price controls were trotted out again, sort of almost concurrent with the passing of Phil Donahue, you have to play this clip. You have to play. I mean, this couldn't be more timely, even though it's...
How old?
Well, let's see. It's about 40 years old, 45 years old now, actually. Uncle Milty, Nobel laureate, Milton Friedman on Phil Donahue's show, having a discussion. This is back when people of competing worldviews could actually have a discussion and a debate. So as much as I disagree with Phil Donahue, two things. Number one, I appreciated that he had Milton Friedman on and you have this discussion face to face so people hear the arguments side by side. And number two, I appreciated Phil Hartman's impersonation of Phil Donahue for so long. So that brought a lot of joy. Okay. Milton Friedman with Phil Donahue on central planning. Listen up, Kamala and gang.
When you see around
Oh, that's not good. That's not going to work. That must have been the day that Uncle Milty had indigestion. Okay. We're going to have to have that corrected.
All the years here, I've never heard that before. The slow-mo.
Yeah, okay. We'll have to get that corrected and get to that clip because it's an important one. David Drucker joins us now, senior writer for the Dispatch, author of In Trump's Shadow, The Battle for 2024 and the Future of the GOP. David, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
You got it.
So, I mean, my sense of it, and the WAPO editorial kind of confirmed it to me, was that price control rollout and affordable housing business on Friday was a bit of a self-own by Kamala that's not her sweet spot. That was unhelpful.
Well, she's got a number of policies she's going to have to address one way or the other, or not address. So we'll see how it unfolds. Sometimes voters care about this stuff, sometimes they don't. I've seen cases where voters just want to know you care and you're going to do something. You're going to try. And then, they don't get too concerned about the details. Other times they do get concerned about the details. They don't like them. Or they do, and that, can change things. We really don't know yet, I think, how much voters are going to be interested in details like this in the competition with Trump. I think we'll know more in September, particularly with the debate and how they square off against each other.
Well, yeah, I think I agree with you generally speaking, but details when it comes to prices you're feeling on a routine basis, details on tax policy, child tax credits, and your once-a-year income tax liability to the extent you have any, since 40% of the country doesn't. Those can be a little bit distant and the discussion's a little bit more cryptic. But things like the prices I'm seeing when I go to fill up and the prices I'm seeing when I go to buy food for the week or couple weeks, those are more ever present. And if they don't buy what you're selling about how to reduce the prices there, and you're hearing scuttlebutt from your local market about how stupid this idea is, then those details, or the general sense of what those details implicate, can be harmful.
Well, they can be, but let's see if that's broadly the feedback that the vice president gets. We don't really know yet that, on balance, voters are going to reject her proposal. There's a lot to criticize there. Richard Nixon tried price controls, didn't go over so well.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't really know yet that they're going to say, this sounds like a bad idea, therefore you're not really doing anything to fix this. They might say, it's been criticized by some, but at least she's trying. I've seen this work both ways with Republicans and Democrats, where voters will just want the fact, they'll want you to address the issue and try. Other times they'll actually pay attention to the solution in detail and act accordingly, if they like it or they don't.
What's your sense of how yesterday's day one with the send-off of one Joe Biden went?
Yeah, I think it probably went about as well as Democrats could have hoped. Look, the people in the convention hall in the United Center arena were generally very happy. Talking to Democrats around town yesterday that are here for the convention and are working, volunteering for the convention or attending, were really happy. And yesterday what they had to do was balance the turning of the page with a send-off for Biden. Speech went long. There were, if you watched it like I did, maybe you remember why his candidacy wasn't going so well by the time he dropped out of the race. But it was a late-night speech, and now it's done, and the president's off on vacation in California, and so now it's Harris's show. So, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, but we're going to see him again. You have, the lighting of the Christmas tree. There's a lot of time between now.
I can't wait.
They'll troll him out for all those,
Lighting
stupid events.
Right. We're talking about the convention, and this is this week's convention. So now the convention is her show. And, I'm curious to see, remember, you do on Monday nights usually what is the least important thing in your eyes when you're planning a convention. There are some people that just get to speak. There are some people that you don't know how important, how helpful it is to victory in November, but, you got to give them a slot. You do it Monday. I'm really interested to see the guest list over the next few days and what the tone is like.
Yeah,
the Obamas are tonight.
Get Brandon Johnson, get Hillary Clinton, get Joe Biden out of the way. It makes sense to me, actually. I get that.
Not an accident. Not an accident at all.
Yeah, no, I concur.
But were you surprised about how many people were crying in the crowd? It was such a strange
dichotomy. Nope.
We love you, Joe
signs. Yes, because they're grateful they're so well. First of all, they're so grateful that he stepped aside because now they have an opportunity to win again. And had he not stepped aside, they'd be rather angry and wouldn't be crying at any send-off. So there was just a lot there for them to like. And look, they generally are very pleased with his work product as president. If you're talking about Democratic activists who pay attention to legislation and policy, the people in that room think he's done a pretty good job. Obviously, a lot of people don't agree, but the people in that room, well, that's what they think.
Yeah, they're very emotional people. This is why they come with their teddy bears and so forth, and their little hats and whatnot. Yeah, I get it. The announcement yesterday of the 291-page impeachment report on Biden Incorporated that was put together by Oversight, Ways and Means, and Judiciary. So the timing of that is a little bit curious. But in addition to that, the question becomes, okay, so now after 3 years, you've got this 300-page report, and you say that he's committed impeachable offenses. So what's the appetite among House Republicans to have an impeachment vote on a lame duck?
Yeah, zero.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
It's not going to go anywhere.
So there's not going to happen. This is just closing the loop for Comer and Jordan and Smith, and that was the sum total of that announcement. So they intentionally tried to bury it on the first day of the convention so they don't have to talk about it?
Struck me as that that's what they wanted to do. I mean, look, there's an appetite among some Republicans, it has been from the beginning, to move ahead with this. If they had the goods and they had it at a time where it mattered, they would have done it. They don't think they had the goods, no matter what this report says.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they felt like they had the goods, they would have moved ahead.
And not having the goods means they can't connect the influence peddling to specific policy decisions that Biden made or specific acts that he took that were obviously in furtherance of lining his pockets. That's the goods.
I mean, that and any number of ways to look at it. Well, I can tell you all the time and energy they put into it. And, it's pretty known that I think Trump would have liked to have seen them move ahead with impeachment proceedings. And they didn't because they couldn't. I'm not casting a value judgment here. I'm just saying This is something that there was enough appetite to do from the Republican base, and I think from Republicans in the House, that they wouldn't have gone through all of this just to bury a report in the middle of the Democratic convention saying that, we could have or we should have or it's all there, but, never mind. I don't think that's what the whole point was.
Right, but when you say that it's going nowhere, it's because there are enough skittish members of the House Republican caucus in a narrow majority that they don't want the vote. They don't want the vote 80 days before an election.
Well, you don't do this 80 days before an election unless, it's urgent. And they don't, in everything that I follow here, they don't have this. This investigation never went where they said it was going to go, where they thought it should go. They didn't uncover the evidence because if they had, we wouldn't see it conclude the way it did.
The vice presidential running mates of the two candidates, so Vance and Walz, is this going to be the rare presidential election where the running mates do matter on the margins? I mean, sort of everything matters on the margins, but I mean, in terms of when it really comes down to vote the tickets, that the Walz or Vance will play a perhaps significant role in swing states and in terms of swing voters' decisions. Is there any evidence of that?
Yeah, I don't think there's much evidence of that. Look, where they matter is if voters conclude you can't do the job if you were needed to. And that's one of the things that really, I mean, John McCain was going to lose to Barack Obama in 2008 anyway. But one of the things that really made the Palin pick so problematic is voters came to conclude, wow, she really needs to do the job. She's not capable. It wasn't like a value judgment on policy. It was like just, can you make decisions and do the job? So far with Vance and Walz, we're not seeing any of that. We're seeing, approval ratings or favorability isn't, what they might prefer. We found this in your background, and you said this, and you did that. But neither of them have seen a hole in their resume in terms of the ability to do the job blown wide open. And so I tend to think, at least as it stands now, that it's not really going to be about that. It's, as Trump said, it's going to be about him and Harris.
David Drucker, senior writer for the Dispatch, author of In Trump's Shadow, The Battle for 2024 and the Future of the GOP. David, thanks as always.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Get ready to turn up the summer vibes at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells and let the good times roll. Dive into your wildest dreams of adventure through awesome water parks, chill in sun-soaked pools, and keep the whole family smiling. Take on our epic water slides, soar like an eagle from our enormous zip lines, and swing into our world-class golf course. From sunrise to sunset, Chula Vista Resort is buzzing with excitement. Refuel and transport your taste buds to the flavor paradise of our #1 steakhouse in Wisconsin. Chula Vista Resort, where adventure and relaxation collide into your unique summer getaway. Call 1-800-388-4782 or visit Chula Vista Resort.